Hi, Days.
Hi Jess, how are you?
I'm okay. We're for those of you who are just listening to the podcast, we're essentially watching Daisy do a get ready with me video while we're in the process of recording.
Just very slow still in the morning.
That's okay. You have a legit excuse for being a little slow in the mornings. That's okay. That's how every morning I start my morning with having a coffee and watching the Bravo show from the night before. So I
I
yeah, I
love
get it.
that.
I know. But that's why I always have to watch it a second time and take notes because otherwise I have no recollection of what actually happened in an episode.
I watched Southern Charm. James this morning said to the dogs, Mummy's watching Southern Charm for a third time. Fourth. I've watched it 4 times.
Well, it was a good episode, so we definitely have a lot to talk about, but we can get
I
into
missed so many bits of it. You know what? I love having a natter, but because we've done like 3 episodes in quick succession, should we just get straight into Southern Charm? Like, no warming up our hands and like warming everybody into it. Should we just get into it?
well, I had some gossip that I thought we should talk about
Well, okay,
first.
I've
Shall
always got room
we?
for gossip.
Okay. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is Whitney from Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, who just announced she's going to be joining Chicago as Roxy Hart. So I wanted to get your take on that.
I think it's great, and I applaud her. Congratulations, Whitney. It is a reality star slot, isn't it?
Definitely,
Now,
definitely. Yeah.
I was trying to remember who did it before Ariana, but it was somebody else like that.
There have been a couple. Yeah. So Erica Jane from Beverly Hills has done it, which I want to talk about. I know you don't watch Beverly Hills, but I want to at least cover
I
a couple
watched it
points.
yesterday.
Did you? Oh my god. Okay, well, we'll talk about it. And then Lisa Rinna from Beverly Hills did it as well, I think. Maybe some others, but they've been doing that stunt casting for a while, but it's clearly working for them. So they're gonna clearly keep doing it.
I would never go and see Chicago. Not because it's not a great musical, but just like it's had its moments with
Mm,
us when we were younger. So
definitely.
if I had like 3 nights in New York, going to see Chicago on one of my rare 3 nights in the city, I wouldn't do it, but I would absolutely do it for Whitney.
Really? Wow, I feel like that's
And
high
for
praise.
Ariana. I just haven't been in
Yeah.
New York when she's actually been in it, but I would go and see my favorite reality TV star,
Well,
100%.
that's exactly why they do it, right? They bring in that audience that they wouldn't normally get, which is very, very smart. And I do think the bar is quite high. Like, by all accounts, Ariana was phenomenal in it. I'm sure Whitney will be really good in it as well. Like,
Can she sing?
that's a good question. I don't know.
I'm
But
sure it's gonna be fine.
yeah, I also feel like it's one of those roles where, because like Erica Jane from Beverly Hills is
Oh, yeah,
highly
she did a whole
mediocre.
singing thing, didn't she?
She did, but she is, like, heavily auto-tuned, a bit like Sheena, because Sheena cannot sing to save her life. So I feel like if Eric and Jane can do Chicago, then I feel like Whitney can probably do Chicago, even if she's a mediocre singer.
Well, she's not gonna be mediocre, she's gonna be absolutely
I think she's gonna
amazing, our
surprise
girl
people.
Whitney.
I feel like apart from Taylor Frankie Paul, she's gonna be the one who really comes out of this season
Well,
absolutely
I never
flying.
would have said she was a star, I would have said that she was a
No.
villain,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
she was absolutely cheated out of being. I think that Robert Irwin would have always won Dancing with the Stars. He sort of went in with it almost being guaranteed. I
Mm.
wonder
'Cause didn't his sister
why.
win? His
His
sister
sister won,
won.
and they play on the dead dad thing, and as someone who's
Yeah.
already in the dead dads club, and that's fine. It's a thing. There was a lot of, like, pulling on the heartstrings
Mm.
of, like, this young man growing up in the world without his charismatic father and larger than life father, and they were really pushing him from the win almost from the first
Mm.
episode, and didn't watch every single one. I watched a lot of my Dancing with the Stars footage via TikTok, so I wasn't watching the whole
Honestly,
episodes,
that's the
but
only
I
way I
felt she
would wanna
was
watch it.
cheated. I felt she was cheated. I felt because she went out
Interesting.
the week that she got that bad edit in, and that she does redeem herself by the time you get to episode 10, but nobody was watching
Yeah.
all 10 episodes in a week like I was.
I also heard that Robert Irwin said something about wanting to be on Dancing with the Stars and winning Dancing with the Stars because his sister won it as well, and apparently, like, when he was interviewed, in her season, he said something about that, so I'm sure they were also like, "Oh, what a lovely little, family
Also,
thing."
like, poor sister. How dare you take it from her? Like,
I
for me,
know,
that would
totally
be like,
overshadowed by it's always the way with little brothers, and I can say this because my little brother will not be listening to this.
go on something else. Come on. Like, you leave that one for your sister. It is a bit weird, though, for me that both of the siblings have twinkle toes. Like, something about it is like slightly creepy with these stage kids.
Yeah. Okay, my next piece of gossip is that Sally from Southern Charm has been having beef with Taylor, formerly of Southern Charm. I'm sure that you saw that.
Well, you sent it to me. I have an opinion, but what's yours?
Uh, I think that I never really liked Taylor. I really didn't love her fighting with Olivia being the center of last year's season. I mean, obviously, both she and Olivia had a really rough go of things last year for other reasons as well. But I don't know, there was something about her that really I just didn't love. But I have to give her credit. She did grow a little bit of a backbone in this instance. I wouldn't have thought that she would have stuck up for herself in this. That being said, I really hope she's not on Southern Hospitality because I didn't like her on Southern.
What does she do on Southern Hospitality?
She's a friend of because they all know each other because it's such a small city that they're all friends with each other.
Well, she was going out with one of them, right? So
Didn't
that's
she
so
go
she's
out with
not.
Sally's ex-boyfriend? I think that's one of the
Yeah.
other reasons why they've got beef. Interesting.
So look, I agree with you. Delighted to see that old jellyfish has a backbone, and everything she said was spot on. I'm trying to think of what the actual words. I think the main thing to take away from it is just that they aren't the same person. It's very unfair for them to be put in because even on a real basic level, I would have never said that they were the
No. Oh
same,
God, no.
deserved the same. I think that Taylor has nothing about the predator about her, and that's actually what one of the words you used to describe
Mm,
Sally.
I do think she's predatory.
I think that Taylor is just pretty desperate, wants to be married, wants to have kids, but picks status and money over what she really wants. And I also think that having a sibling pass away in such a sad way, like cancer, I mean, it's
Mm.
always sad. It's never going to be not sad, especially that young. She's got a couple of years of a grief journey in there because every time she does something new, rather than the joy of a new beginning, it's my brother's not here
Mm.
to
Yeah,
see
for
this.
sure.
This is where the Dead Dads Club, but she's in the Dead Brothers Club. And they never played up enough of that on Southern Charm with
Well,
both of those
it
girls.
explained a lot of their behavior, I think, in the later part of the year, especially Olivia. So Taylor's response to Sally said, "Totally, because I'm capable of manipulating a doctor into cheating on his wife and fully dating someone the entire time they were filming this past season while also trying to hook up with both Craig and Austen."
What? How did I not read that? Who
I
was she
don't
dating?
know. Well, so Sally says that she wasn't dating anyone. Taylor disagrees.
I think that Sally is probably dating a million trillion.
I definitely think Sally has a roster. And, good on her, but
But the problem is she pretends to be one thing when she's truly something else. And I
yes.
hate people like that. I find them deeply triggering. I don't know why I can't let it go. Like some people just, need to have a front when they're actually something else. But Southern Charm is full of characters like that.
Mhm.
Whitney has a front, is clearly up to something else, but he does it with a lot more finesse.
Also, he's a lot older, so, Okay, I've got one more thing and then we can dive into Southern Charm because I can just we're itching to talk about it. So, my one question, and I can't believe I haven't asked you this. Are you watching I Love LA on HBO in the US or Now TV over here?
I am not, but I've read everything about it online because people in LA, and this started when I saw a TikTok that somebody was, because a lot of LA stuff comes up on my
Oh,
TikTok, my
yes, of
algorithm.
course. Yeah, your location.
So this guy did this amazing TikTok about why he was really upset about it. And then when I dug into it, I'm like, oh no, this was always meant to be a satire on influencers coming to LA. This is like, it's a joke title. And then I read all of this stuff, I think in Variety, maybe in The Cut, about why they should have gone with the other title. Now I can't remember what the other title was,
Interesting, I
but
didn't
they're like,
realize.
"Actually, this hasn't landed well with
Yeah.
people. People aren't watching. They're just talking about the title."
So I have been watching, and
What do you think?
my god, these people are unbearable, and I know that it's supposed to be a satire, and I know that it's meant to be this generation's version of Girls, which obviously was.
I didn't find girls unlikable, though. I mean, I found them
I thought Hannah was
true
pretty
to life.
unlikable. Definitely true to life, but Hannah really grated on me. I don't know, I find these people, maybe it's just because I find influencers insufferable. I think that's probably it more than anything, but I just really struggle. Like, I'm watching it, so clearly it's doing its job, but I am struggling with these individuals. I don't find any of them likable.
Well, and also I don't understand why you'd make a show about it because as someone who lives in LA and has been here for 10 years, even before the rise of the influencer, this was a thing. They were just actors
Mm,
coming into the city. And it's
yeah.
one of the worst parts of LA is how sad and tragic some of the energy is because these people come here trying to make it. They trample all over each other. They social climb and then they don't make it. Doesn't happen for them. And they end up like not even working at Sir.
I was gonna say, or they end up on Vanderpump Rules.
Well, I just don't understand why you would make a show about failure. And that's not what Girls was. Girls was about being like, that was the first time we'd seen an honest interpretation
Mm,
of being 20 something, sleeping with the wrong people, not telling your friends. I said that like maybe on episode 1 about sleeping with the wrong people. And that
mm.
is really what part of your 20s is about. You make a
Living in
mistake.
shitty
Like, I just don't
apartments,
want,
like, because the
yeah.
problem with, like, all of the '90s shows of people in their 20s was, like, Friends, but in Girls, they live in shitty studios with, I don't know, the shower in the kitchen, which is definitely what happens in New York.
Yeah, I haven't been watching it. Are you gonna pursue it and watch it to the end?
Yeah, because it's actually only half-hour episodes, so it's a very easy one.
I will give it a go for sure. I'm interested to see why it's, like, really rubbed people up the wrong way.
It's a bit like watching shows about London. It's like watching something like Ladies of London or Real Housewives of London, because sometimes you watch it just to you hate watch it because 'cause you're like, "Oh, that's wrong, that's not what you would be doing." Or I think, when Real Housewives of London was on, I think I was messaging you about them going to the Cotswolds or something because someone was, like, going on about her amazing country estate, and I was like, "That's not the fucking estate, that's the gatehouse on the estate property. You don't actually own the estate." So it's that sort of watch where you're just like, you're watching it because you know it's gonna wind you up. Yes, exactly. Many, many shows that I hate watch. Okay, let's get into Southern Charm because I know we've got thoughts and feelings. Let's talk
Yeah,
about
I'm following your
let's talk
notes.
okay, let's let's talk about stage moms, because I was, since we just mentioned it, I had zero surprise that Charlie was a pageant girl. I know that we kind of learned about it last week when she first appeared on the show at the party, but when she had that conversation with her mom, I was just sitting there thinking, because her mom, even through FaceTime, you could tell was like so desperate to be on screen, and like even her mom was really performing. And I was just thinking, I mean, I know it's not a surprise in the South that you put your kids into pageant life. Like that's a pretty typical thing, but it definitely just really made me think that the mom was living vicariously through the kids.
I think that that is a truly quite an American thing.
Definitely.
Can I ask you, that whole "Were you pleasant," was that a joke or was that an
I
actual
think it was a little bit of both. So basically, the mom was Charlie and the mom were having a conversation about the singles party on the beach, and the mom said, "Were you pleasant?" And I think it was a little bit of both. I think it was a little bit of a joke, but I also think it was a Southern thing where it's like, "Were you pleasant to the men? Were you
I
like?"
hated how they edited that because I came out of it not understanding anything
Interesting.
about it because when she comes off the phone, she says, "Oh, lunatic," about her mum.
Mm.
So I'm like, "Oh, so her mum is pushy then, and that wasn't a joke?" Or
Well, that's what
what
I think.
is
So I think we're supposed to get the insight, because you remember at one point she talks about what a small town she grew up in, and she was, like, driving down the street one time, and her dad said, "My friend saw you texting and driving," or something like that. So I think it's a little bit of that, where when you're from those, like, really small towns, everything has to be perfect, and it's that, like it's what you always get with a true crime documentary where someone's like, "Oh my god, you would have had no idea that all this stuff was going on behind closed doors, especially in the South, because you are very everything's, like, very it's very much a facade." So I think it's a little bit of that, and I'm sure that her mom is, like, always putting up that perfect front no matter what's going on with the family. So I think it was yeah, it probably was a little bit of that. It was
Yeah,
weird. It was a weird thing to say, for sure.
I wonder if there's going to be something in a later episode
Mm.
that links back to this because Charlie's about to do the dirty on Sally. Having said that, I don't think Sally's got any claim to.
Of course she doesn't. Of course she doesn't. She has absolutely 0 claim on Crag. She just it's a bit like Vanita says at one point in a confessional, like or was it Molly? She doesn't have claim on every guy sorry, it was Molly.
It was
When they were at
Molly.
that lunch, Molly's like, "She doesn't have claim on every guy in Charleston. She's just one of those girls that wants to win and wants to be liked by all the guys better than all the other girls."
Just put her in the bin. She's just a boring, boring character, and I know that they're making the drama based on her, but again, I just find this like girls being crazy such a boring.
Mm,
Come
yeah.
on, Bravo. It's 2025. We can do better. There is so much weird stuff happening in this episode that we can do better. You can coach old Sally through this on
That is also such
being
a
less of a
unique
cliche.
but that is such a uniquely Southern charm thing as well, where the guys even when the guys are being the worst fucking people in the world, the guys are just, being played off as, "Oh, they're just guys being guys," whereas the girls are always pitted against each other, always pitted against each other over the guys, just the worst.
Well, Sally doesn't help herself though,
No, she does not help herself.
because Shep handles
Wait, sorry, can we
Craig,
just we just have to talk about the fact that we have a new nickname for Shep because your WhatsApp auto-corrected it to sheep,
the wastrel sheep.
the wastrel sheep. So from now on, much like Crag is Crag, Shep is sheep.
Yeah, that dude, like, what a waste of a trust fund. I
Mm,
just look at him and I'm like, ugh. But he gets very animated while he's in the car with Rodrigo
he
about
does.
the fact that Craig is making, I wouldn't even call it fucking moves. He's just getting to know this girl. She works in an art gallery. He has money. He's going to buy a painting from
The
her,
painting of a tiger or a
a
lion or a
penguin.
wolf, a penguin.
It was a penguin.
This
This
is
is
why
definitely a dude that knows
this
nothing about culture and art. And they do that twice to him in that episode when he doesn't
so good.
understand who Dorian Gray is. And
So
props to
good.
Austen for being able to explain the whole of an Oscar
Right?
Wilde novel.
Without having to look it up. Like, that is way more than I thought Austin would be able to pull out of his
I've
hat.
always thought Austen was a bit of a dum-dum, to be honest. I didn't think that he was
Absolutely.
someone that had done well. Or
No.
would it have cultural references then,
No.
like, as that? He
No,
called his
not at
beer
all.
Trop Hop. I was
Well, because usually it's actually Shep Sheep, the one that is really cultural. Like, Shep actually is very well read and is always using, big, big SAT words like loquacious and shit.
I don't want to jump around too much from the agenda that you put together, but that is shown in the literary figure he decides to turn
Yes.
up as. And
Lonesome
I was just like,
Dove. He
and there
shows
was a
up as Lonesome
word,
Dove.
loquacious.
Yeah, the loquacious. Well, no, that's what I just said, but I feel like he said he loves a big word. He loves a big long word, so that's definitely one of them.
Because he's probably got a small penis.
Small penis, small penis, big vocabulary.
Yeah, 100%. I'm not going to try and figure this out whether it's true or not, but I'm just putting it out there as a potential hypothesis. I'm sure there's enough people out there who've seen Shep's penis and they can tell us.
Some people get sports cars. Some people get a word of the day calendar.
Exactly. Ain't that the truth?
Anyway, so Sally, I thought, let's go back to Sally for a second, our favorite. It really made me laugh when she was like really splitting hairs about what she had said about Austen, because Vanita basically alluded to the fact that Sally had said she would sleep with Austen whenever. And Sally was like, "No, no, no. I didn't say that. I said that I would sleep with him as soon as he was single, the day after he broke up with Aubrey or whatever her name is." And I was just like, "Girl, we know you would sleep with him if he like opened the door, girlfriend or not. You would take advantage of that."
Yeah, look, we said it on the last episode, and I'll keep saying it again. And I'm deeply interested in female friendships and how women devise their worth from who they sleep with. And being first in line does not mean you'll get chosen. I'm just going
No.
to keep saying that.
Yep.
Every single one of those guys would pick, even Rodrigo, who's not that way inclined, would pick Charlie over Sally. She is a bigger prize. She is more beautiful. She is more exotic. She is more of a Southern belle than Sally will ever be. And because they live in this weird community and culture and society where people are stacked hierarchical above each other, unfortunately, Sally is, despite owning the house and being a fun laugh, because you've put yourself and pitted yourself against other people like that, you have to take it when you're a number 10 and someone's a number one.
I think you just said it right there. You said she's a bit of a laugh, which for the Americans in the audience means that she's just like a little bit of fun rather than a serious prospect that you would settle down with, which I think is what the guys see Charlie as versus Sally.
I don't know if it was in this episode or if it was in episode 2, but she does say that her therapist has said you've got to start
Oh,
acting
yeah.
like a wife if you, which is another terrible piece of advice.
I mean,
It's up there with
red
be
flag for
pleasant.
the therapist. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, up there would be pleasant. But it's somewhat true in the sense that if you are sleeping with someone immediately as soon as they're out of a relationship, they're never going to marry you. It's very, very rare. They need time to process their own stuff and they don't understand that you're ready for honestly, if you slept with Austen the day after he split up with Aubrey and then as pillow talk in the morning, we're like, I'm ready for babies.
Especially with those guys. Those guys,
Where's my ring?
he would have run out of his own front door so fast. Your head would have
100%,
He
Jess. So
would have
that's
been
the
like the road
point.
runner with the tuft of dust, like, behind him because he would have been out that door so fast.
Sally, you want to get married and have kids? Don't pick Austen.
No.
It's
Christ.
literally never going to happen.
These guys have been on TV for 10 years at this point. Like, you know what they're like. It's not a
Pick
surprise to
Craig,
anyone.
maybe.
Yeah.
But
Well, Craig's not picking her,
even
that's
then,
part of the problem.
he's going to pick a Charlie over you.
Mhm. I agree. Okay, so let's I
I
don't know how
hate
much
that Molly's not in the running for any of this. She's not
I
even in the
know!
she
I
is the
know.
catch as far as I'm
She
concerned.
is absolutely the catch. I know we keep talking about this, but I fully laughed out loud when she showed up as Gandalf. She reminded me of that scene in Mean Girls when Lindsay Lohan shows up at the Halloween party and she's like, you know, in girl world,
She's
Halloween
the
is when you
prize.
Oh, that was so funny. That was
I feel
amazing.
like we should just make this podcast like how to get Molly a guy in 10 days. We just need to find Molly a husband and for her to have a spin-off program.
Move out of Charleston. That's my that's my advice. You're never gonna find a husband for your quirky brand of I don't know, girlhood if you're living in Charleston. Move to Portland. You'd be great in Portland.
Yeah, I wonder where like her place in the world is. I actually think she'd do really well in Europe.
Yeah, probably. But she just needs some place that, like, understands and embraces being a little bit weird, where everyone is a little bit weird, whereas that is definitely not Charleston, where, as we keep saying, everyone wants to conform.
More you conform, the better.
And down there,
Why do
for
we watch this
sure.
program? I mean, I love it.
I know you love it more than I like it, but you love it
I love it.
because it's great TV, for sure.
I love it. It's completely not what I should like, but I absolutely love it. It's
Okay,
the best.
let's I just have a couple of little things. I love how Austen is now Madison's best friend. That really makes me laugh when they had lunch. I kind of love that relationship now. Like, if you had said to me 5 years ago, or however long it was, where they were screaming at each other at the reunion, that Madison and Austen would be BFFs, never would have believed you because they really hated each other for a while.
I think Austen not being friends with Craig is one of the greatest things that will ever happen to Austen.
Agree,
He is
agree.
so much more likable without that. Like, I like Craig because I think he gets given a really great edit, and then when
Yep.
you see, like, a highlight reel of his bad parts, you're like, "Whoa, why is this guy still allowed on TV? Like, he should be fired and cancelled." But because they give him, because he's obviously charismatic 60% of the time, total nightmare 40% of the time, but then they're only
Yeah.
showing you 90% charismatic,
Yep. Well
10% nightmare. So it's off in our heads what he's really like. Whereas Austen, I think, is probably an alright.
well, I think the Watch What Crappens guys refer to Austen as a Muppet, which I think is a really good way of referring to him because A, he is 1000% a human Muppet. Um, but also he's just kind of like a goofy idiot. Whereas when Craig flies off the handle, as you say, he's really like he would be really scary to be around. And he
Well, no, he's tall and big as well.
well, Austen's taller apparently. Apparently in real life, Austen is
I
taller than Craig, but they are all of them very tall.
They're all very tall.
Yeah.
I actually love the Crappens guys because you're like, I could never like Austen based on their impressions. When they were recapping Winter House and they would do like their impression.
Okay. For anyone out there who doesn't listen to Watch What Crappens, highly recommend. They're like one of the OGs of Bravo podcasts, and they do recaps of all of the shows with amazing voices. And sometimes their voices are what I hear, like when I think of a character. I say character, they're real humans, but the way that the Crappens
Yeah.
guys talk about them, they become characters. And I think of that character's voice in my head, not the actual human.
I mean, I always used to think of Austen as their impression of him. He did so well against that CJTJ guy last year who was really
Mm,
going for him for sort of, did he deserve it? I mean, he deserved to be taken down a peg or two, but I actually quite liked seeing Austen finally not being the doofus sidekick on a boozy night out and seeing him stand up and defend himself without getting, like, angry. Can we
yeah.
also just have a moment of, like, Pat
Oh my
and
God.
her butler
I was
getting
going to say,
Facebook and FaceTime
that
confused? So
really,
cute.
really made me laugh. Also, the fact that she only cries about the dog dying rather than her husband, which, girl, I get it. Like, fair. I did actually make a note about this because it really made me laugh. The fact that in her phone, Whitney is Whitney Sudler Smith, like his full name, really made me laugh. Like, that is your child.
I I actually just loved their FaceTime. It was very cute, and it's such a nice way of getting Whitney still sort of somewhat included, but without sometimes I feel like when they include Whitney, he'll go on the holiday, on the cast trip, and then he'll just stay in the room and not do any of the filming. I'm like, "What's the point? I get that you're an executive producer, but, like, go away if you're not gonna do this properly."
He really only contributes like 2 or 3 sentences in a confessional. He doesn't contribute to anything
No,
beyond that,
no. But
beyond
I liked
occasionally
seeing
dating
him with
cast
his
members.
mum. I
Yeah.
liked seeing him with his mum, and I liked that they ended the call with an "I love you." It was just a little humanizing moment for 2 people that aren't that human.
Okay, okay, let's keep going because we've got so much still to talk about. Important question, why are Vanita and Rodrigo always decorating for people? Like, that is
I just
Rodrigo's primary focus on the
Is
show.
he an interior designer, or is that just him, like, joking? I don't
I
like it
don't
when
know.
people who are already marginalized enjoy marginalizing themselves as well.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
he
I
calls
feel
himself the gay interior designer when they're doing all the Shep
yeah, I don't think
stuff,
he
and
is
I'm
an interior designer. I think he's just good at design or like better at design than the average person. Well, I think let's end Southern Charm on this note. One of my favorite childhood films is Hook, and I was actually really insulted that Craig chose Rufio as his outfit for the literary party because first of all, Hook is not a literary novel. It's a sequel to Peter Pan, which is obviously a book, but Rufio is not a literary character. Rufio was made up by Steven Spielberg and the screenwriters.
And the irony being, if he'd gone with a Great Gatsby, he would have had a Charlie moment because
He
she went as
absolutely,
Daisy Buchanan.
totally, he absolutely would have had. Also, the fact that he wanted to be Gatsby was funny because anyone who's actually read the book knows that not not necessarily who you want to be. But anyway, so that did make me laugh. But I hated the fact that Rufio has now been tainted by Craig, but also the fact that he was the king of the Lost Boys was somewhat fitting because he is the actual king of the Lost Boys.
I just, he's coming across as a dum-dum, isn't he, old Craig?
But Daisy, he's a storyteller. Let's now move on to something. We kind of touched on it earlier when we talked about I Love LA, but let's move on to VPR, the new class,
Oh, God.
as one of the other podcasters I heard referred to. It's what were your thoughts?
I don't know. I don't know what my
Ooh.
thoughts are on it. I weirdly have been thinking about Marcus and Kimberly a lot, and I don't know why, because I don't particularly like either of them in terms
No.
of the cast, but they have crept into my consciousness at least 4 times where I'm like, "Why am I thinking about these people?" I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna watch it, but I
Obviously.
don't know what I feel about it. I think Natalie is just a boring nightmare, just another version of a crazy girl that we're just gonna make some TV out of, like.
So she came off very Jersey Shore vibes to me, and it was like a weird. It was like they crammed someone from Jersey Shore into VPR, and I can't remember if she was the one who was actually from New York. I'm sure she's from Long Island, but it felt like they were trying to put someone from Jersey Shore into VPR, which was a weird shoehorn. I have to say, I enjoyed it. I just kind of had to pretend that the original version didn't exist, but I think
Exist,
it's
yeah.
got yeah, I think you just can't, like, they did it a disservice by calling it Vanderpump Rules. They should have called it something or have it be like the 12th season of Vanderpump Rules. They should have completely, like, started
Yeah,
over
I don't know
or
why it's like
something.
is it
Yeah, it's
season
season
11, not season
12.
12?
Season
Right.
12. They should have kept. I'm glad that they didn't have anyone from the original cast in because I think that definitely when they've tried that in the past, it really didn't work. But I think they should have called it something else.
I've actually never watched Vanderpump Villa, and I'm glad that Stassi is in it now, season 2, but I've never watched Vanderpump Villa, but I don't understand why they didn't do Sir or didn't do Vanderpump Rules in one of the Vegas properties.
Yeah, that is because that just seems like an absolute given. Like Vegas is just
Because
prime for this sort of ridiculous drama.
And I'm kind of a little bit bored of like, oh, let me watch all these failed singers and actors. Again, it's exactly why I don't love I love LA, the whole premise
Mm.
of it. Whereas in Vegas, these bartenders are actually world class. They source them from all over the world because they're flairers and
Yeah.
they are waiting staff and bar staff by design. That's their career. And I think that would have been a really interesting place to take it. And also, Lisa Vanderpump is the queen of Vegas now. She's about
She
to take over a
is.
whole hotel.
Yeah. Well, and
BravoCon's there. It just was like, why are we doing exactly the same thing with a
I did think
younger
it was
cast?
I did think it was very interesting that they touched on the fact that her restaurants are not doing well in LA. I thought that was actually quite interesting, and she talked about that quite openly, which I wasn't expecting from her.
Well, that
Uh,
whole stretch in West Hollywood isn't doing well,
yeah.
and it
Yeah, yeah,
hasn't done well since COVID. It's like
yeah.
all of the gays left LA. I don't know what happened, but that whole stretch, which is where they do Pride and everything, and it's where all the gay bars are, has just never recovered. The only place that still does well is the Abbey, which is
Mhm.
basically
Yep,
what would have been next door to Pump. And I just don't get it because she is doing really well in Vegas.
absolutely. Well, and it just seems like Vegas is just it was funny because I know, again, you historically haven't watched Beverly Hills, although I'm looking forward to talking about the new season with you. But at one point when Garcelle was on, because basically Garcelle has an older son who works in one of Lisa's restaurants in
Yes.
Vegas. And there was one, like,
Didn't he
very
bonk
brief.
someone? Like a Catherine or something?
Yeah, he did, and I can't remember who it was, but he definitely did. But there was a brief period of time where it looked like that was the opening into a series about the Vegas restaurants, and then it never happened for some reason.
I think COVID was an issue. They have a restaurant and a bar in Caesars, which I don't understand.
Well, I just have to say my one moment with Lisa Vanderpump is that I was there for a conference the week, or actually, sorry, the day that the Vanderpump Cocktail Garden opened in Caesars, and I saw Lisa and they were filming for it, and I was almost in a shot and I hid behind a column so I didn't end up in the
Oh
shot.
my God, I would have asked for a photo, no shame. Well, I'm sure that it's difficult to film in the casino properties.
Yeah, I
Having
can
said
imagine.
that, when she has her own hotel,
Yeah.
why for me it makes no sense to because it's so the same
Mm.
with this, it's the same theme music. It's season 10, 12,
They
11
really
there.
needed to mix it up a little bit and just give it a bit of a facelift in general.
I just keep looking at that Natalie girl. She's nothing like Sheena, but because she's a singer, she's Sheena in my head.
So I just have to say my one thing that I kept thinking about her when I was watching is she's had so much Botox that the whole top half of her face doesn't move, like, literally from her top lip up is completely frozen, which makes, like, her lower jaw when she's talking really active. It's a very weird thing. Once you've seen it, you won't be able to unsee it. But it's
Very
like
LA thing.
the bottom half of her face is so mobile compared to the top half of her face.
But this older dude that they've all gone out with,
Oh
who
my god.
he's very
Paolo.
handsome. Did you see him?
No,
I Googled him. He's a
of
very
course.
handsome dude.
Well, there's a reason why he's getting all the young ladies.
I wish that he was in the cast.
I know, why is he not in the cast? Oh my god, they're all fighting over him. I mean, he seems
And also,
perfect.
like, bit more interesting, this
Okay.
54-year-old, silver fox.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't have a ton of notes beyond just watching it, but I just had a couple of comments. Shane Davis, everyone why does everyone call him Shane Davis? You know how some people
Oh, the
just are
good-looking
always.
one.
Yeah,
The
the
sort of
good-looking one, the actual
Johnny
model.
Bravo model.
Yes, the one who is actually a legit model. You know how some people are just always first name, last name? You never call them by, like, just their first name. It's always first name, last name, and I
'Cause
feel like
he's a bit
he's
of a
one of those
celeb to
people.
them, I think.
Yeah,
He's
he's
done
a successful model. Yeah, and maybe there's
relatively
an.
well. But I reckon that's success like 10 years ago.
Oh, totally, totally, he looks really young in those pictures.
I don't think he's walked in shows for, like, a solid 5, 6, 7 years.
Oh, no. Definitely not. The half cousins, I can't really tell apart. I've decided to call them tall eyebrows and short eyebrows, and I
I
have
find
no
them
idea which one is
creepy.
which. They are a little creepy. Yeah.
I
Although I
find them
will say
creepy.
when one of them did his impression of Robert De Niro, it was pretty spot on.
I don't know. I just don't really like any of them.
Well,
It's been underwhelming.
okay. I think it has potential. Obviously, I'll keep watching. I think the potential is there, but let's see how it goes. It's only the first episode. It is tough to judge entirely on one episode.
This is this is true. This is true. I just, let's hope it's not more of the same, but not as good.
Yeah, in which case I
Because
think we'll all stop
Vanderpump
watching for
obviously
sure.
had, quite an explosive end to the
Yes.
original cast. And we also had to, we've also been able to see on the Valley the completion story of like a Kristen, even Lala, you know,
Yep.
we're seeing all these completion stories. And I just don't know where they're going to go with. It's literally just a new set of people in the same restaurant
Mhm.
that, it is in a dying part of LA as well. It's a part of LA that has never recovered from COVID. I know that Lisa said that, but it's West Hollywood has really struggled. There are other parts of LA, Mar Vista, Venice, that just get better. Whereas that where they are, I'm like, who even goes here? And it's like, oh, you might meet your mistress here. And it's like, I don't even know who's going. So, I don't know. But look, I'm going to watch the whole season and I'm really hoping to be surprised. But I do think I feel like this a lot with Bravo stuff is they give you disappointing episodes, disappointing premieres, sometimes because they're sort of throwing up content without caring too
Yeah,
much.
that's true.
Or like, let's
That's
just
true.
see, like, and I feel like, how dare you take advantage of me being emotionally invested in your.
But it is hard because especially when you're starting completely from scratch because you have no emotional attachment to any of these people, and sometimes it does take a little bit of time to build as you get to know them, and it's very rare that there's someone that you, like, outright love
Yeah. Look,
immediately.
I do agree with that. I do agree with that. But for me, the biggest issue is it's exactly the same. They were
Yeah.
literally at the
Like,
Belmont
everything else
drinking.
about it is exactly the same.
They're
Yeah.
at the Belmont. I don't even know anyone that still goes to this place on La Cienega. Literally no one. 15 years ago, it would be busy most nights. But now it's like no
That's
one goes
probably why.
drinking.
That's probably why because they can film there easily.
No one goes drinking there. So, and it kind of annoys me because it's like we've just watched Lala, Stassi. Stassi hasn't been in Vanderpump for many seasons. Like, why bring them there? The kids I know in LA who are like, Daisy 10 years ago are absolutely not going to the same places that I went to when I first came to LA. And it just like there feels like a real lack of progress and
Mm.
just oh well, everybody liked the fact that we saw Sheena and Katie argue at the Belmont. So we'll just do that again, which is what they did. And
Well, I
that's
wonder
when
if
Natalie and
that's
Kimberly had that fight. And Kimberly's hiding behind a plant crying.
oh my god.
Please, come on, like let's pick some better places.
It feels like maybe that's a producer thing as well, because the producers just have their old reliables, or they have, like, the relationship with the Belmont already, so they just keep
I-
going.
And the Belmont, the guy who owns the Belmont owns a few places in LA, and he
Sh
was one of the backers of Schwartz and Sandy's.
Exactly, so he clearly is a friendly face for filming and stuff,
I
so
mean, look, I've
that's
just
interesting.
slagged off La Cienega, but actually all of the hot bars for kids are there. I wanna see them have like, what's going on there? Or, like, why aren't they filming at Barney's Beanery? Like, one of those. I mean, I'm sure it's very hard and very expensive, but there are certain places, like LA dive bars, where have put Barney's over that. I feel like you get loads of waiting staff in there mixing with, like, a Selena Gomez and a Benny Blanco.
Mm.
It just is way more like, it's just really boring that they've gone to exactly the same. If Katie's not there, being Tequila Katie, I
Oh,
don't wanna know.
classic.
Come on, put them somewhere
Classic.
else.
Tequila Katie, what a legend. Okay, so those were my main thoughts on VPR. Salt Lake was a little bit of a dud episode for me this week, but the
Mhm.
one thing I wanted to just flag quickly is, first of all, the fact that Whitney's husband admitted that he was an MLM executive, which he totally was, I thought was pretty shocking, the fact that he actually talked about it. But I don't know how Whitney gets over that resentment. Oh my god, I would not be able to, like, the fact that her husband is part of the reason why they poured their life savings into a business and ran it into the ground. I would really struggle to get over that. First of all, that's why it's hard to work with your significant other. But man, that's a tough one to get over.
I mean, I don't agree with that. I think there's lots of people out there who work with their partners and do it amazingly and are super productive. I just think that multi-level marketing, I don't know why anyone would pour their life savings into.
No.
It is a very West Coast thing.
It's a
As
very Utah thing as well.
a bit of a moment of pop culture across the pond, I did not understand multi-level
Mm,
marketing until I got here. And it was very bewildering to me after I left my job where all these people was trying to recruit me into these multi-level marketing things. And I was just like, no, I don't want to be an Avon lady. Like, leave me alone.
I don't wanna sell your shitty supplements.
No, I want to go to Sephora and buy what I want to buy. Like, and when it comes to supplements, I want to go buy what I want to buy. And having said that, there are certain things that I adhere to, which is sell core and things like that. But they're not multi-level marketing. They're, you're not trying to make a little pyramid under you. There are just certain memberships or subscriptions that I'm like, oh yeah, I'll buy.
Well,
I'm into that.
that's just a subscription service. Everything's a
Yeah,
subscription service now.
a subscription service, which is different. It's a nice idea, multi-level marketing. I haven't really seen it
It doesn't work.
work as a cohesive whole.
No, it doesn't. It gets several people very rich and then everyone else underneath. Like there's whole podcasts about the
Look,
scams of multi-level marketing.
if you like the product and you really believe in it and you want to rope all your friends into it, like by all means, then all carry on. And sometimes, like, I remember I did do something like this at the beginning of COVID. There was like a wine club, but I just had never had anyone underneath me. I just bought a case of wine every.
It's just a wine club.
Which again, it's
That's
me
not
treating
that's not
me
an ML.
treating a multi-level. Yeah, but for them it was multi-level marketing, but for me it was a subscription service.
That's how you game the system. You just turn their MLM into your very own
I was just like,
subscription
if I buy 2
service.
boxes, I get a bigger discount.
Oh my god, that's amazing. I love that.
James is
That's so
delighted.
good.
He just had loads of organic wine.
I love that. Oh my god. So that was just my one thing is like it's wild that he admitted to that on national television. Yeah, because I think it was pretty well known, but like the fact that he talked about it was
But why were
crazy.
you surprised that he admitted to it? I don't understand.
It's one of those things where I think often people don't admit to being a part of an MLM or like being part of the executive side of an MLM because that's the really predatory. I know I keep using this word predatory, but like that's the really predatory side. So they'll say like she's never referred to him as being part of anything like that before. She's always called her husband a successful businessman or something like that. So the fact that she like outright said you tried to turn my business into an MLM, I thought was just much more open than they normally are with these sorts of things.
Yeah, I mean, I feel a little bit like she needs to take some personal accountability here. As
Absolutely. Like it's her
you
fucking
tried to
business
remember,
too.
she was obviously counting the money before it came in, and
Yeah.
because neither of them had the death sales drive of like we're just gonna like eat people into our pyramid.
Yeah, exactly. Also, I'm sorry, I don't think that she had a meeting with the buyer for Sephora and Ulta. Like, I'm just gonna throw that out there that I don't think that she was on their list.
So I don't really know too much about these people, like Whitney having these brands, and you hear about it a lot particularly in Salt Lake, where they're always talking about their hair care brand, and I'm like, it costs so much money to research a hair
Yeah,
care brand. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so
very,
expensive.
very few of them actually have successful products. I'll just
Yeah.
put it that way. A lot of them, it's like vanity labels where they're just like, you know, I don't know, like Meredith Marks and her caviar brand. Or actually, even a lot of people have questions about Lisa's tequila brand because apparently no one can find it outside of Salt Lake City. So,
But again, it must be so expensive to launch a brand like that. Like,
oh yeah.
you've got to go through several rounds of seeding and investment to be able to get even a nationwide reach. Like, to be
Well,
able to serve a
look at
state is still pretty great.
look at how much, you kind of see it on Summer House with Kyle and Loverboy. Like for all that Kyle can be an absolute idiot, he's done a pretty fucking good job with Loverboy. Like that is, again, off the back of the show. Like they are absolutely using the show as a marketing ploy, but it's working and, it's a relatively successful drinks brand, which is a very difficult space to be in.
Percent. I mean, I've actually never seen it in the shops though, but if I ever did, I would buy it.
I've never seen it in the shops either, but it's not international, so there is that. Okay, let's very quickly talk about Beverly Hills because obviously we had the
Well, tell
premiere
me what you think.
episode.
I have such a limited understanding.
Okay, I really dislike the way that they're handling the Garcelle thing. I'm just gonna say that Garcelle was amazing.
Is she
She
the
was
lady
my
who
favorite.
walked off?
She's the woman who walked off. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so a little bit of backstory with her is
Mm.
that she and Sutton were legitimately good friends. Like, when you can tell that people are actually good friends just in their
Yes.
interactions, and watching them together was very funny and they were very real with each other. When you watch last season, Sutton was a pretty shitty friend to Garcelle, especially in the reunion, which is kind of when she walked off. And so all of these people saying, oh, I just don't understand. And even Sutton saying, oh, I don't understand why she's not contacted any of us. It's like, if you had any ounce of sense, or if you watched that season, you would see why she didn't feel supported by someone who is supposed to be a good friend of hers. And I get why she left. So for them to play it off as like, oh, I don't understand. It's like, no, you fucking do.
Is she coming back to film at all?
No. She is done. She's left.
She's Lisa Vanderpump and
She's Lisa.
hightailed it out of
Exactly.
them.
She has Lisa Vanderpumped it. She will never set foot on that screen again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, so, and look, I get why Sutton saying, oh, she's not contacted me. Well, you were a pretty shitty friend to her. I get why she hasn't reached out to you. You were pretty awful to her, because Sutton has always had this thing. Like, we don't need to get too into the backstory of Beverly Hills because there is a lot of history there, but Sutton has always had this thing where she's always, always, always tried to be in with the cool girls. And in that show, the cool girls are Kyle and Dorit and Erica, and she's never quite fit in. And so Sutton and Garcelle kind of became friends because Sutton couldn't get in with the cool girls. And because Sutton's weird and a really awkward and just a quirky individual. It's very high school, that show, where you can just really see her desperately trying to fit in with the cool girls. And she kind of dropped Garcelle so that she could be with the cool girls. And so that is kind of part of the lore of Beverly Hills. But anyway, so don't love the way that they're talking about Garcelle, because she was amazing, but a really very funny, like always had the best observations about the other housewives. What are my other thoughts? I can't wait for Jennifer Tilly to show up. She's a friend of, but she's hilarious. She always has weird one-liners, and she is rich. What else are Kathy Hilton's nuts, as always. Kathy's always like completely batshit insane. The one thing that I will say about that show, more than any other show, is that, or at least any of the other shows that I watch, the fact that they are not actually friends is very apparent. Like, the fact that when they see each other, they're like, oh, I haven't seen you in ages. Oh, how have you been for the last couple of months? And it's like, you could at least put a little bit of effort in. And that is one thing that does really annoy me with Housewives, is I know, like, look, you can't be friends with everyone. People are colleagues. Like, they are colleagues. You're not friends with all of your colleagues, but this is supposed to be about a group of friends. And when they're not friends, you can really tell. And it felt like that a bit in this episode.
Yeah, I think you've said that about Summer House before as well.
Yeah,
where it's like,
sometimes,
they're
yeah.
just making a show as opposed to
Yeah.
watching these, messy friendships.
Well, and you can see, like, when you have people who are actually friends, like Sierra and Paige and Amanda, like, you can see,
So much more chemistry.
Exactly. And, you talk about, like, if Sally and Vanita had focused on their friendship, or if Sally had chosen to focus on her friendship with Vanita as the storyline, people would have loved that, because people love Sierra, Paige, and Amanda on Summer House, and, like, watching them grow.
Love Paige and Hannah. Hannah did
Yeah.
like one season, 2 seasons.
It was like maybe a little bit more than that, but yeah, but that's the thing. People love those female friendships because you can really legitimately tell that they're friends. And so that's the problem with shows like Beverly Hills, when they don't really give a shit about each other. You occasionally get people who have a real friendship, but when they're not actually friends, you can tell, and it feels false.
Feels inauthentic. I mean, there were just so many blooper, as a new person to it, there are just all these blooper moments where
they love a slow motion moment in Beverly Hills.
Just asking all these awkward questions that if your best friend asked you, you would be okay. But if it's like someone that you haven't seen for 2 months, being like,
that's exactly it.
How are your kids taking your divorce? Have you told them? It's like, warm me up first.
But that's the thing, like, if you were actually talking to this person on a regular basis, you would know that. You would know how you would have had those authentic conversations about how your kids are taking the divorce, because you would have talked to them in the last 6 months.
And okay, my final thought on this is Dorrit must be not very popular with the cast, because they went for her.
Yeah, they did. They always go for her. They really Yeah, they really hate her. One more thing, just my final thought on it. I actually cannot wait for Rachel Zoe to be like a proper member of the cast. I
Oh,
don't know
she
if you
was
ever
saying some
watched
zany things.
did you ever watch her original Bravo show? It is so worth a watch. Oh my god, she
I
is a
don't think I could
monster.
I couldn't get it in the UK.
No, for a long time it wasn't available. It's now on Peacock, so if you are bored
Mm.
over Christmas, have a rewatch on Peacock. I've watched it a couple of times since it aired originally, but wow, she's a nightmare, but such good TV.
Is she like a zany version of a Kelly Catrone?
Uh, that's a good way of putting it. She is. She's like a
Different spectrums of the fashion industry.
yeah, but
I
very
kind of
much
think they're
of that.
little similar type personalities.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Because I think Kelly's just a little bit more, like, very blunt and, Kelly does
Her
like
delivery, 100%, but I bet you Rachel Zoe to me, or Rachel Zoe, whatever she's called, I don't think if you're gonna cry, she wants you to go and do it in the toilets. She doesn't want to see she's not gonna
oh,
hold you, like, she's
no,
got her
absolutely not.
agenda.
1000%, and you really see that when you watch the original show. Like, the way that she treated her staff on occasion is shocking. But that's fashion. But whereas Kelly would be much more, like, in your face, whereas Rachel's like, "Oh, we're BFFs," but then she'll turn around and stab you in the back, and Kelly is just very much like, "No, this is who I am. This is how I do
Sounds like
things."
Rachel's a perfect housewife.
But she is gonna be the perfect housewife, and we haven't even seen the other new person who apparently is a nightmare, so I can't wait for that as well.
Yay. Well, what a
Yay!
good place to end.
What a perfect place to end. It has been an absolute joy and pleasure as always, and I cannot wait for next week.
See you next week.
Bye.